Hey guys, welcome back to another RadioShack themed video on this channel. These videos always do pretty good, and if you've watched me before, you know that I collect pretty much anything RadioShack. At least me and my dad do. He's actually old enough, believe it or not, he is my dad, to have went to RadioShack quite a bit as a kid. In fact, he spent quite a bit of money there when he was my age on stereo equipment. And I have, in the last year or two, started picking up as many of the RadioShack RC cars as I could. I don't have a lot of attachment with RadioShack from my childhood. Like I've said in other videos, I only remember going in there a handful of times. Maybe, I know of at least two memories in my brain. One day I just started picking up RadioShack RC cars, and I've currently got too big of a collection, because if I see a RC car, I don't care what it is, and it says RadioShack on it, I'm going to pick it up. So what I do remember going into the store before they shut down is it was awesome. And I like the idea of a electronic store, or any store really, putting their name on absolutely everything and taking the time to not just like sell items, but like specifically go out of their way to brand items in their name. Like with the RC cars, absolutely plastering your name on every aspect of the car. Like, you know, if there's a wing on that car, or if it's got a hood, which 99.7% of them do, it's going to have a big old RadioShack sticker on it. But this I picked up at a yard sale, and you'll never guess what I paid for this thing. $2 whole. The guy wanted $3, and I was like, "Would you do 2?" And he said, "Oh, sure, okay." So I probably could have went down to $1 and got it, but I didn't want to beat the guy up too bad. And I was going to buy this anyways. I mean, like, how couldn't you? This is a battery tester, of course. This right here, I'm thinking, is that a D battery? I think it is. That looks like a D right there. This looks too big to be a AA, considering how small the 9-volt is. That's a 9-volt battery. That's a 9-volt tester. That's your little battery gauge down there. I have not tested this. We're going to try it here in a second, see if it even works. I can halfway date this. I don't remember off the top of my head, but when RadioShack switched this font, I'll put it up on the screen, but I'm thinking was it mid-80s when they went from this logo to their last logo, I guess. Which, fun fact, if you looked at these, they didn't just change the font and the layout of this. RadioShack here is 2 words, and their new logo is 1 word. Like, this is RadioShack. The new logo is RadioShack. So I always thought that was kind of interesting. And by me always, I mean about 2 weeks ago when I looked it up, I learned that. So I found it interesting since then. I still find it interesting. This is a prime example of what I was talking about. Like, we got a battery tester up there. It's like one of the most mundane objects possible. You put the battery on a little thingy. Actually, it's more like a clamp thing. You ain't even got a wire to test it. It's a battery tester. It ain't got to look cool. But this looks cool. You know, what screams battery tester other than putting batteries on the battery tester? Instead of just putting a sticker on there, we're going to make the thing the shape of the batteries, kind of. Like, this is rounded up here. This is squared off with the 9-volt. This is cool looking. I don't know what the blue box down here is. But it does say right here for 1.5 and 9-volt batteries. So I think a D battery is bigger than 1.5. I think a 1.5 is a AA. Yeah, it is 1.5 volts. I don't know who Micronta is. I don't think I've ever heard of them, so leave that in the comments if you've ever heard of them. Cool old RadioShack back there. 2 words, not just 1 word, 2 words. It says it's made in Korea. There's the part number. Not sure if I'll do it in this video. I might not. But you can actually look up this part number, and you go to RadioShackCatalogs.com. And that website, I talk about this every video I do with RadioShack stuff, but it's just awesome. They have archived, I think, every single RadioShack catalog since, you know, RadioShack's like inception. So if you get a rough date, you can just start flipping through the website on the articles, and you can find that part number, and you can see what stuff originally sold for. I also just noticed this on the back. It's slotted like you can put this on the wall or something. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you could, I guess. So I've got a 9-volt battery, which is awful puffy looking. So I don't know if that's going to work. I might have to get another one. And I've got a AA battery. None of these are RadioShack batteries. I wish I had some, Again, I'm not old enough to have went to RadioShack as like my go-to place to get stuff like batteries. But my dad was in the Battery of the Month Club, so that's got to give me some like notoriety in the RadioShack community. Which, fun fact, is a lot bigger than you think it'd be. There's a Facebook group called RadioShack Memories. That is like an absolutely massive group. So I'm not the only like idiot who likes this stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking. We're gonna test this tester right here. So it does that to this. Hey, I don't know if you could have seen that, but this little doohickey just worked. Yeah, you can see. Did that work? It did work, yeah. Oh, there we go. It's reading good to you might need to replace it before too long, but hey, it's working right now. So that was the AA battery. And this is the 9-volt. Cool. Okay, well, that just worked. We'll hold it this way. This is probably going to forever, and forever I mean realistically until I either die or we have a house fire or something. This is just going to sit on the RadioShack shelf over there. Yeah, I'm kind of a big deal. I have a whole shelf for RadioShack memorabilia. I need, fun fact, I was talking about the RC cars. I need another shelf for the RC cars. I've outgrown the shelf I got for those very fast. Where the tires are getting old on those cars too. I need to support them from the chassis because the tires, that's a pretty big issue with any RC cars. The tires flat spotting and ruining. So I need to do that. That may be a video in the future of me sorting my RadioShack RC collection. Who knows? But speaking of future videos, this, believe it or not, is not the only RadioShack memorabilia I picked up at this yard sale. I'm not going to spoil what I bought, but it rhymes with a new in-box 12-foot satellite antenna, and it might look something like this. Just like an everyday item from back then that is just, it's so surprising that it's still in the box. And probably 35 to 40 years later, I come along and buy it for $5 at a yard sale. I just had to have it. But I'm not going to spoil what the item is. You're just going to have to wait in the future. But yeah, anyways, if you want to subscribe and you like older RadioShack stuff, that is actually what a lot of what I do on this channel is, like stuff like this. Anyways, keep a lookout for that video in the future. And I think that's going to be it because my battery in my camera is currently showing, I don't even know how it's showing 0% and still recording. So I'm going to stop talking, probably go to bed. Thanks for watching.